control of budget, she has waited for a long time, and Deborah, as she was here and she left for some another engagement, and she has requested that she has a flight at 5. If control of budget you allow, you can give her the first take. No, introduce yourself first, and then we'll ask that question. CS, yourself and your team, and then control of budget.
Thank you, Chair. So I'll start from my extreme right.
Honorable Chair, honorable members, my name is Dr. Mamo, Director General NEMA. Thank you.
Honorable Chairs, members, my name is Titus Me from NEMA Compliance Directorate.
Thank you, Chair. Honorable members, my name is Joseph Macau, NEMA, the head of licensing. Thank you.
Okay, and I'm Deborah Barasa, CS for Environment, Climate Change and Forestry.
Good. Control of budget, yourself and your team.
Thank you, Chair. I'll also start from
thank you, Chair. My name is Mark Koech. I'm the Deputy Director, Parliamentary Liaison.
Thank you, Chair and honorable members. My name is Dr. Brian Mutahi. I'm the Director, Legal Services, Office of the Control of Budget.
Good afternoon, Chair and honorable members. My name is Rod Nyomari. I'm the Parliamentary Liaison Officer for the Ministry of Environment, Climate Change and Forestry. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Patrick Kamore, Deputy Director, Budget Implementation Office of the Control Budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair and honorable members. My name is Theodora Uchichi. I'm the Personal Assistant to the Control of Budget and the Assistant Director, Budget Implementation. And finally, Chair and honorable members, I'm FCPA Dr. Margaret Nyakango, the Control of Budget. Thank you.
Good. Because of the request by CS, let's give her the first take, and then how much time do you need?
Yeah, half an hour is enough.
Including answering questions. Then be brief. We proceed. Members, I think we have the response on our files. She can take us through.
So also there's Emma and Mary from the legal office NEMA. Thank you. So this is the ministerial report on the stakeholder engagement on the field development plan and production sharing contracts for blocks T6 and T7 in South Lokicha Basin, Turkana County. The clerks of the National Assembly and Senate in their joint letter reference number NA Senate Joint Core Stroke 2026 Stroke 031 dated 3rd February 2026 requested the CS Environment, Climate Change and Forestry for a meeting to appraise the Joint Committee on the Field Development Plan and the associated production sharing contracts, and to provide specific information on the following key issues. Number one, to provide the status of the environmental and social impact assessment approvals for the FDP and its associated infrastructure. And secondly, to outline the decommissioning and site restoration framework proposed for the project, including provision for financing and long-term environmental monitoring. And thirdly, to outline how the ministry and NEMA intend to address public health and safety risks associated with oil production and transportation, including potential oil spills and other environmental risks. Honorable Chair and members, the Ministry of Environment, Climate Change and Forestry and NEMA jointly discharged the state constitutional obligation under Article 42, 69 and 70 of the Constitution of Kenya to secure the right to a clean and healthy environment for all. We undertake this by providing integrated policy leadership, coordination, regulation, and enforcement for sustainable development. NEMA has institutionalized the coordinated environmental governance, including the use of environmental impact assessment as a co-preventive regulatory tool to screen, assess, license, and monitor proposed developments, ensure the environmental risks are identified and mitigate upfront, promote public participation, and balance socio-economic development with environmental protection for present and future generations. To this extent, since the discovery of oil in the South Lokicha Basin at Ngamia 1 exploration well in Block 10BB back in 2012, the ministry has been supervising the oil exploration activities, the early oil projects, and now the proposed upstream oil development project. The status report as pertains environmental and social impact assessment for the FDB and its associated infrastructure, the upstream oil development project, Honorable Chair and members, an environmental and social impact assessment study for the proposed South Lokicha upstream oil development project, Turkana County, Kenya, was undertaken by Tullow Oil BV and submitted to NEMA on 23rd September 2021 under application reference number NEMA/EIA/5/2/1900, application ID number NEMA/EIA/SR/2365. The environmental social impact assessment study report was processed in accordance with provision of MCA Cap 387 and the EIA Regulation 2003, and upstream oil development project granted an environmental social impact assessment license number NEMA/EIA/PSL/43347 on 28 October 2025, annexed as 1. The scope of the licensed environmental social impact assessment was for production capacity of 130,000 barrels of oil per day over a 25-year period, comprising 6 oil fields with well pads, in-field connecting infrastructure, central hubs, central processing facility, integrated waste management facility, and engineered landfill associated facilities and amenities within the 6 oil fields, that is Amosin, Ngamia, Twiga, Ekals, Agete, and Etom, located within 1,500 hectares of defined project footprint in the South Lokicha Basin, Block 10BB and 13T, Turkana County. South Lokicha Basin Blocks 10BB and 13T, Turkana County, has been renamed under the new IPRA's oil blocks naming system to Block T6 and T7 respectively. The currently tabled FDB has taken a phased approach for the new contractor, Gulf Energy Limited, projecting a production rate of 20,000 barrels per day in phase 1 and 50,000 barrels per day in phase 2, with an expected first oil date in December 2026. The produced crude oil in South Lokicha will be transported by road and or rail for storage and handling at Kenya Petroleum Refineries Limited and subsequently exported through Kipevu Oil Terminal 2. This is a material deviation from the license design concept of establishing a Lokicha export facility and transporting the crude oil via the Lokicha Lamu crude oil pipeline for export at Lamu Port. The outstanding environmental and social safeguard concerns on FDP, Gulf Energy Limited, is to finalize transfer of the EIA license number NEMA/EIA/PSL 43347 from Tullow Oil in accordance with Regulation 26 of the EIA Regulation 2003 to be the lawful holder of the EIA license. Secondly, Gulf Energy Limited to undertake supplementary environmental assessment on the potential impact and risk associated with change in the project design from the initial Tullow Oil BV upstream oil development project design and make an application of variation to amend the project design and EIA license condition in accordance with Regulation 25(1) of the EIA Regulation 2003 before commencement of the crude oil field development. This will ensure the appropriate pollution control safeguards are put in place to enhance environmental protection, public health, and sustainable development. The environmental social impact assessment for the proposed makeup water supply project, Honorable Chair and members, Tullow Oil BV on 23rd February 2022 undertook an ESIA for the proposed makeup water supply project from Takwel Gorge Dam Reservoir in West Pokot County to Nakukula's Lokicha Central Processing Facility in Turkana County. This ESIA study report was processed under application reference number NEMA/EIA 5/2/1944, identification number NEMA/EIA/SR/2550. The supporting water supply infrastructure was approved and granted an ESIA license number NEMA/EIA PSL 37329 on 22nd January 2025, annexed to. Honorable Chair and members, the scope for the makeup water supply project is construction and operation of a 90.5 kilometer water pipeline buried 0.9 meters deep, comprising of 27.5 working width or right of way with a 6-meter permanent easement for operation. 20-inch carbon steel pipeline from KP0 to KP68 and 24-inch HDPE pipeline from KP68 to KP90.8, pumping stations, chemical injection, electrical and fiber optics cable installation, 80,000 BBLS water storage at the central processing facility, 6 community water offtake points, each with 60 meters cubed storage capacity, associated facilities and amenities and related works. This project is currently underway and shall also be a complementary project for the development of clean water from domestic use and irrigation for communities affected by the project. ESIA for the proposed Lokicha to Lamu crude oil pipeline project. On November 1st, 2021, an EIA license number NEMA/EIA/PSL 14788 Annex 2 under application reference number NEMA EIA/SR 1637 was issued for construction of the Lokicha to Lamu crude oil pipeline running approximately 824 kilometers, involving the construction of a pipeline corridor, installation of 18 steel pipeline and a permanently moored tanker, as well as construction of above ground stations comprising Lamu Marine Terminal, various pump stations, 16 number intermediate stations, associated facilities and amenities traversing through Turkana, Samburu, Isiolo, Meru, Garissa, and Lamu counties within the gazetted LAPSET corridor. Of note, the current phased project development approach for phase 1 and phase 2 shall use road and or rail tracking of produced crude oil, since the pipeline is not yet constructed or is yet to be constructed. In matters regarding decommissioning and site restoration framework proposed for the project, including provision for financing and long-term environmental monitoring, the South Lokicha Basin Oil Field Development Project decommissioning and site restoration shall be undertaken within a clearly defined regulatory framework and anchored in the Constitution of Kenya, Article 42, 69, and 70, the MCA, the Petroleum Act 2019, and the approved Environmental Impact Assessment License and Field Development Plan. The NEMA, as the principal environmental regulator, shall enforce all EIA license conditions and the approved environmental and social management plan relating to decommissioning, site restoration, waste management, well abandonment, land rehabilitation, and post-closure environmental monitoring through compliance inspections, environmental audits, and issuance of enforcement and restoration orders where necessary. In parallel, the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority, pursuant to the Petroleum Act and as the lead agency in the petroleum sector, shall exercise regulatory oversight over the implementation of the approved FDP, including technical aspects of field abandonment, cessation of operations, and compliance with petroleum sector standards, and shall ensure that decommissioning activities are carried out in accordance with approved petroleum development and abandonment requirements. Honorable Chair and members, upon decommissioning, land that has been acquired for petroleum operations and for which affected persons were duly compensated shall, in accordance with Article 62 and 67 of Constitution, revert to the National Land Commission as public land held in trust on behalf of the people of Kenya. In fulfillment of its constitutional mandate, the NLC shall oversee the reversion, management, and administration of the decommissioned land, including ensuring that restoration obligations have been satisfactorily met prior to reversion. Following this process, and consistent with the Petroleum Act and the National Land Use Planning Frameworks, the determination of post-oil production land use shall be undertaken by the Ministries of Petroleum and Mining, respectively, in consultation with County Government of Turkana and relevant national government lead agencies, to ensure that subsequent land use is sustainable, compliant with applicable laws, and aligned with national development priorities. Through this complementary and coordinated oversight, NEMA, EPRA, County Government of Turkana, and NLC shall provide the legal and institutional assurance required to supervise, enforce, and verify environmentally sound decommissioning of the South Lokicha Basin Oil Field Development Project in the public interest. With regards to addressing public health and safety risks associated with oil production and transportation, including potential oil spills and other environmental risks, the public health and safety risks associated with oil production and transportation in the South Lokicha Basin and along the export transportation corridor shall be addressed through a preventive, regulatory, and collaborative enforcement-based framework anchored in the Constitution, MCA, and approved EIA license conditions. The Ministry shall provide overall policy leadership, interagency coordination, and strategic oversight to ensure that environmental protection, climate resilience, and public health safeguards are fully integrated into oil development planning and operations. For instance, the Ministry and NEMA has ensured that adequate integrated waste management facility and engineered landfills are designed and factored in the project design to protect the environment from degradation and pollution. EIA license condition 1.2.6 obligate the proponent to develop a sanitary landfill within an area not less than 50 hectares adjacent to Ngamia oil field, with an estimated total waste disposal capacity of 324,616 cubic meters, contained into 13 engineered cells in accordance. The developer to install a drill canting thermal treatment facility for the treatment of up to 752 cubic meters of material per month using a thermal desorption unit. The ESMP and the EIA license have safeguard conditions to regulate the construction, operation, and decommissioning phase of the entire project as pollution prevention measures. It is important to note the crude oil pipeline is the ideal, safe, and preferred means of transporting the produced crude oil from Lokicha to the point of export. The road and or rail transport from Gulf Energy has proposed in the PBP is yet to be scrutinized through an ESIA process to ensure the appropriate safeguard conditions are instituted to guarantee public health and safety. The ministry is following up to ensure the addendum assessment report is submitted and subjected to due approval process to ensure inclusivity and adequacy. Honorable Chair and members, NEMA is the principal environment regulator in liaison with EPRA. The lead agency shall operationalize these safeguards by enforcing EIA license conditions and the environmental and social management plan on the contractor, Gulf Energy, including mandatory oil spill prevention and response measures, hazardous material management, emergency preparedness and response plans, occupational health and safety controls, and community health protection measures along production site and transport corridors. These shall include routine inspections, compliance monitoring, environmental audits, and coordination of oil spill contingency planning in collaboration with lead agencies, county governments, and emergency responders. In the event of oil spill or environmental incidents, NEMA shall enforce immediate containment, cleanup, remediation, and public health protection measures and require restoration and compensation in accordance with the polluter pays principle. Through this coordinated approach, the ministry and NEMA shall ensure that risk to public health, safety, water resources, land, and ecosystem arising from oil production and transportation in the South Lokicha Basin are effectively prevented, managed, and mitigated for a clean, healthy, and sustainable environment for all. I submit. Thank you, Honorable Chair and members.
Good. Honorable members, it's now time for comments, questions to CS environment before we go to control of budget. Who takes the first one? Cicely, then Mugatana, then Beatrice.
Okay, thank you, Chair. First, I would like to...
You're not done the questions, because you'll answer all of them at the same time.
First and foremost, I would like to thank the CS for her presentation. But when she was submitting, I noted that in page 8 of this document, of course, the whole presentation is about environment matters and whatever. So in page 8, I see her submissions, she's expressing herself in past tense. Like for instance, stating that those affected have already been compensated. So referring to the people in Turkana County who have been affected by this oil production stage. Now we are going, we were done with the exploration, we are now going to production. So according to her presentation, she's talking in past tense, meaning the people on the ground have already been compensated. Is that the case, or I'm the one not getting it right? And if they have been compensated, can we access that information? Like how many were compensated, how much, and all that, those details. And then again in page 9, she's saying Ministry and NEMA has ensured adequate waste management facility. I come from that place. And if we go there and if anyone passes by the oil fields, those are just deserted places, especially when the other investor left, Talo. They look very deserted, no activities going on there. And of course, I know you are waiting for the field development plan so that you resume operations. But now, when you say there are adequate waste management facilities, where? Because I don't know where you've established these facilities, unless maybe in another county. But in Turkana County, no waste management facilities are feasible. Then lastly, Chair, when Talo left, some months later, you know, these waste products from exploration or production, when rains happen, you know, the formation of our soil is sand soil. So it is loose and everything can trickle down so fast. So during rainy time, I think water trickled down with very dangerous components. And then when our people were now doing the shallow wells to use it for giving their livestock water, then most of them lost their livestock. It was in the news. They lost over 200 shots because of contaminated water. Then later on, environmentalists looked at it, and it was connected to some substances during exploration that trickled down to the water table. And now, even the people who ate that meat fell sick. Honorable Chair, the issue of waste management is a serious one, and as a community, we are very serious and we are very keen, because after the oil is taken, it is the Turkana person who will remain to suffer. It is the Turkana person who will bear the side effects of all this. We will be having genetical deformations when the country has already benefited from the oil proceeds, and we remain there to really pay for what we've not, what we don't deserve. So the ministry and NEMA and whoever the stakeholder should take the matters of environment seriously and the matters of waste disposal. Because there are wastes that I'm told in Kenya, there is only one demarcated place for disposing. But you know that the rogue contractors, Honorable Chair, because of wanting to save the cost, they just dispose that cost anywhere, because Turkana land is an expansive land and nobody is in every corner. So they just look for a deserted place that no one is seeing them, and they dispose that very bad chemical there. And then later on, you see things happening. You see people giving birth to children that are half animal, half human being. Those things. You see an animal delivering a child who looks like a human being. We cannot wait for that time to really come. The ministry has to tell us these things in the right language. Thank you.
Senator Mugatana.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I want to take it over from Honorable Cecilia, our women rep from Turkana. We are looking at the field development plan, Waziri, but I don't know whether they have submitted to you the decommissioning plan. I don't know whether they have submitted to you or whether you have requested from the contractor a decommissioning fund. The reason I am raising these issues is because we have had bad experience from base titanium in Kwale, and that is where we come from, in the coast. The decommissioning process has gone on forever. People are still complaining to date. People are still feeling the effects of radioactivity from the mining of base titanium. So we don't want this to happen to the people of Turkana, where Mheshimiwa Cecilia comes from. Now, the question I wanted to ask is, have you made financial provisions? Have you taken bonds? Have you had this plan of taking bonds, of making sure the money is there so that the restoration can go on without a hitch? You know, it is possible that we start this production, and somewhere along the production, this company goes bust. What if the company goes bankrupt and you have not taken any money to support the decommissioning process? Chair, the truth of the matter is, when you are decommissioning oil wells, the plugging itself must be 100%, because there's this gas called methane. It can continue leaking. There is this possibility also that if it is not plugged properly, there could be oil seepage which will continue. It will go to the groundwater. And what Mheshimiwa is talking about, contamination of the people, so that even the giving birth aspect becomes defective, is not a joke. It's a reality. So I wanted to ask, has NEMA gone into the details of making sure that the Turkana people don't suffer these consequences. I wanted to hear from you whether you have demanded that they will remove even the rigging, the drilling machines. You know those machines are very big and very heavy. Whether there is a way of dismantling those storage tanks that are going to be left there. Chair, you know, when they live there, the truth of the matter is there will be oil contamination on the soil. And Chair, we have handled in the Senate the issue of makwiny. You know, Waziri, in Makwiny, there was a leakage from Kenya Pipeline. And these were many years ago. The people to date, over 15 years, the people to date are still suffering the effects of that oil leakage that happened. So I want to know, is there a plan for the person who is handling, or the contractor who is going to drill this oil, to do the soil cleaning, so that the people are not left, as Mheshimiwa Slia say here, with all that negative effect after Kenya has collected its money and everybody else is celebrating and they are left there. Is there a plan for restoring the pasture land in that area? Because after this is a finite resource. It's going to be finished, and the people will have to be, you know, employed back into their old ways. Is there a plan to restore pasture land? Is there a proper plan that has been made available to you, or have you demanded as NEMA? Because we don't want to kill our people just because we are going to make money out of this. And this is why we have called you. We want you to tell us whether you are comfortable with this process of exploring and the evacuation of the oil from that area. I thank you, Chair.
Good, Senator Beatrice, and then Senator Lomene.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, all in our meetings with the stakeholders over this plan, the major issues that came up were environmental issues. In fact, CS, we met a lot of environmental activists in all the counties that we visited, to the extent that their presentations were even near emotive. And that tells it all, that this sector is what will make this country lose on all the gains on this exploration exercise. Of course, the issue of the contamination of water in Turkana came up from all the stakeholders. Of course, the issue of decommissioning and restoration showed that Kenyans are very worried about the challenges that will come up with this. One thing I needed to know from you, CS, is that is your sector really ready for the exercise that is going to befall you? And lastly, how are you working with the county governments to address the enormous environmental challenges that are going to come in hand with this project of oil restoration? Take note of the population surge that we are going to have in these areas. Take note of the urban issues that are going to come up in these areas. Take note of just the populations that are going to go there, the issues that you're going to address of pollution, of waste, of everything. It is so massive. I just needed to have you as a ministry giving us the confidence that are you ready for what is ahead of you? Thank you.
Senator Lomene.
I wanted to ask the CS, maybe to guide the committee, is there any approved sites nationally where we can dispose the waste, especially those from the oil waste Secondly, Chair, in my experience, I have never seen a company, either Tanzo or the current, disposing waste of oil outside Lokichar basin. I've never seen. And if it is there, may we be guided. Let these committees be told that they are within the Lokichar basin, there are these approved sites which are assert as waste. The name has approved some sites to dispose the things. Let us be guided about that. Thirdly, Chair, to support what woman MP said, people have lost lives, Chair. Not even Turkanas. 2 years ago, I think last year, in these wells, there are bombs that are used to drill deeper. And these bombs are just kept within the compounds, within the wells. And one of the bombs expired and killed inspector of the, you call it Cebu? Yeah. He was killed and he was buried in Kitale. This is not a story. This, I don't know whether you are aware. So, that's why we are asking, are we really, do we know, are we really, or the committee doesn't know, or the committee doesn't know all these issues? We really need to understand this issue because as we talk now, there is a place called Lomo Kamar. Bonasias, let me just inform you. Waste are brought from one well and dumped in another well. Example from Ngamia 1, it is down to Tiga 1. Just within that, the distance is a bit, not even more than 5 kilometers. Are you aware of those things? Thirdly, is there any new technology? Because with my experience, those wastes are always are there. How have they been treating these wastes? Can be the committee guided, they have to be told the truth? Because what is there? Threats, fears, including me. Where I stay is proximate to the wells. So whatever happens there, I am directly affected.
So maybe Charles or Mawada Endi, so that she can respond to all of them. Nothing, Charles? Kulisirai? Good. CS, you can respond.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, honorable members. I will first let the technical team address some of the technical issues, and then I will finalize.
Thank you, Honorable Chair and honorable members for those questions. Honorable Chair, as reported by the Cabinet Secretary, we issued the license, the environmental and social impact assessment license for the upstream oil development project in October 2025. Honorable Chair, NEMA license is a conditional license. When we issue the license, we give certain condition to the project proponent to ensure that the projects are environmentally sound, socially acceptable, and economically viable. That is the essence of licensing a project. For example, when we license this project, one of the conditions to the project proponent, who were then Talo Oil BV, one was to ensure that they have a robust waste management infrastructure in place. I'll repeat again, and the license condition is there, a robust integrated waste management infrastructure in place to handle both solid waste and liquid waste, the effluents. We have a lot of rig cuttings, Chairman, in the oil fields. Those ones carry what we call hydrocarbons, and as the honorable members observed, they are potentially carcinogenic. Those hydrocarbons are potentially carcinogenic, and it has to be managed properly. Number two, we also ensure that there are functional landfill facilities in those areas so that they'll be able to manage these other hazardous waste. Chair, NEMA has licensed solid waste handling facilities in Lokichar. I have personally visited 3 times Lokichar to follow up on those license conditions. Those sites were not properly managed, and we issued a number of restoration orders to the then Talo to ensure that those landfills are properly managed in line with the Environmental Management and Coordination Act, EIA regulation. Both social and environmental safeguards need to be put in place. And when the new contractor came on board, the Gulf Energy Limited, and they have to take full liabilities because they were transferring Talo oil license to themselves. So those are one of the conditions, that they have to transfer the license from Talo BV to Gulf with all the conditions that have been given to them. So, Chair, yes, the sites were there, but they were not properly managed, and our team have done routine compliance, and they have ordered them to restore the sites, and we have issued a restoration order to the project proponent. Then on the question by Honorable Senator Dr. Mungatana on the decommissioning plan, yes, Honorable Senator, when a project proponent presents the environmental and social impact assessment report to us, the report must identify potential impacts of the proposed project. Then it must propose robust mitigation measures to address the impacts. It must be addressed. It must be robust enough to be able to address those identified potential impacts. Then the project proponents need to develop what we call environmental management and monitoring plan, which is always annexed to the EI report. In the environmental management and monitoring plan, that is where we have the decommissioning plan with clear timelines, indicative budgets, and also to ensure that there are timelines to be able to address that. Honorable Chair, recently the Parliament passed the Deposit Bond Regulation 2024. This is very important for extractive industry, because when we had the best titanium, we did not have this regulation in place. Now we have this regulation, and we are going to ask the Gulf oil guys to be able to deposit a bond so that it becomes an insurance that once they move out or once they go bankrupt, then they'll be able to pay for remediation of the environment. This is the bond that we are going to enforce as NEMA. Maybe my other colleagues can input.
Good, CS. Maybe you next among your team.
Thank you, Chair. Through the CS, I would like to respond to Honorable Member for Turkana, Domle, on the question on whether there is a new technology that has come in place for management of waste for oil. And yes, Honorable Chair, when you look at Annex 1 of the CS response, there is license condition Annex 1.
License number 1 condition.
Yes. That is, sorry, condition 1.26 of the license annexed as Annex 1. There is a new technology which we are keen to have it put in place. It is globally accepted and proven that it treats oil waste to acceptable level for safe disposal and reduce the public health risk. The technology is called TDU, the thermal deposition desorption unit. During the exploration time period, there was no such technology in the country, and that's why we were facing challenges in safe management of the waste, and it was accumulating. If memory serves me right, during exploration time, some waste material was being trucked to Uganda, but due to transboundary movement of waste, it was not a viable option, and we have demanded that they have an on-site modern technology for that. That is a guarantee to this joint committee that once that TDU technology is put in place, the risk of untreated oil waste will be sorted and we will not have such an issue. Secondly, I would want to speak into the issue of deposit bond, Honorable Chair and our CS, that the DG has referred to by Honorable Dr. Mugatana on the issue of the guarantee. The deposit bond regulation has been captured very well in the EI license Annex 1, condition 3.4. Now that we have the FDP tabled in these committees for approval, that is the document which we were waiting for as an authority to provide the financing, the legally binding financing contracts to determine the project financing and the costs and be able to calculate the applicable deposit bond as per the regulations. It is a mandatory conditions and we are committed to follow it to the letter and safeguard the health of the Republic. With that, I think I can pass it over. Thank you.
Honorable Chair, through our CS, maybe I can take one or two. One, I think Honorable Beatrice wanted to know how we are working with the county government. Those are our critical lead agencies that all those facilities you are hearing that are going to be on site, they must be approved by the county government. So it will not only be, in fact, the NEMA license may not hold if the county governments do not approve those sites. So we partner in terms of where they're located. The county government will always say, yes, they're located in the right place. The NEMA will always come in to see if they're located in those places, are they going to affect the environment? So, and entirely, nearly everything we do, we must be in agreement with the county government. The Honorable Woman Rep, I think the first one I would want to wish that when we talk about the EIA, it is actually a proposal. We are not talking about things that happened. So we are proposing that within the report, that should there be an incident where compensation is supposed to be done, then we are proposing that that should be done. Because if it was an audit, it would be a different thing. That this being an EIA, it is futuristic. It carries proposals. Yes, we, like the DJ alluded, we have other licensed sites to treat hazardous waste. But what is being proposed here, as has been said by Mr. Makau, is that the proponent is actually proposing not to be carrying waste to those licensed sites, but he wants to treat the waste on site. That's why we are even proposing the new technologies. That is why we are saying the integrated waste management facility. It will be located within that site. There is an option of that waste being carried to those other licensed sites. They may not be many, of treating the hazardous waste. But for this project, for this proposal, the proponent thinks he can do this on site, and that is what we have licensed. Honorable CS, probably that's what I could pick for now.
Thank you. So I believe we have been able to address all the issues. One of the concerns was maybe the way we said affected persons were duly compensated. We take note of that and we'll change that, will be duly compensated. Secondly, we've answered about the issuance of the ESIA that was issued in October, and decommissioning has been articulated in Annex 1, 3.4 and Annex 3, 5.1. We have aligned to that, and the deposit bond, which is a regulation within the Ministry of 2024, which is mandatory. So the resources will be allocated, will be present when it comes to decommissioning. Also, we've highlighted the new technologies, and then that will be provided on site to ensure that the people of Turkana will not suffer. We have and we continue to strengthen our intergovernmental collaboration and consultation for effective implementation and protection of our environment as well as the people. And so, Honorable Beatrice Ogola, yes, we are ready. We are ready, and we will be able to support fully throughout the process.
Chair.
I don't want to open it up.
Chair, I'm not opening up.
Yes.
I'm just building on to my point from the observations we got on the field. When it comes to the time you're going to do your studies, kindly limit more of government to government talking to itself about projects. So that, because we saw an overwhelming participation of the public, the expectations is massive, and if you engage the general public, the entities that are organized over environmental issues, you will be taking measures that will be saving you and us and the general public from the challenges that are going to come. Not compared to the mining of, activities that were done in Kakamega and Siaya, where government functionaries were engaging more of government and leaving people out. Make your activities more of people-centered so that we save a lot of time.
No boardrooms. You know, the government likes boardroom. The last one, and then we can release them.
Chair, now that the new technology has been discovered, what happens to the people who are affected in the absence of the technology? How will they be compensated? And Chair, when there is an issue of hazardous waste, where do the community report that issue? Where?
It's a very serious and important question. Reporting mechanisms.
Yes, we have a county director there, and we have our National Environmental Complaints Committee. So
I think what we've agreed, engage more, because basically members, what they have given us, I think they have also assisted us to have more questions to ask CAP Energy when they come here. In fact, most of the issues they have expounded on is to give us more knowledge, so that when CAP Energy is here, we'll put all these things to them. They are the creators, and to follow up. But what members are saying, please be on the ground. Don't get compromised. Cecilia, maybe the last one, and then I can close.
Yes, Chair, you are very right that they are like an eye opener to us, so that we will know how to handle Gulf when they are here. But at the same time, they should also take our concerns, so that they know the fears that we have, because Gulf is an investor. Then NEMA and ministry are government. So the Turkana people are looking upon the government, not the investor. The investor is there to make his profits and move. So it is the government to stand in for the people. It is the government to stand for the rights of the Turkana people. So you have taken our fears, our concerns. It is you to make them good, so that when you engage with the investor, you just find a middle ground for all of us. Thank you.
Good. We don't want to see similar issues that happened in makwiny. You know what is happening there. Councillor, yes.
Just right at what Cecily is saying. I think it is important, because you see, when we are talking about an investor and the ministry being on the ground, or government being on ground, I think it is important for you to synthesize the people, to get to know actually who is who. Because you see, when we say there's a director, and if that director is not known, you see, normally we always say we know where a police station is. But when the director of NEMA is not known where he stays, where he operates, and how we can get in touch with him, then it becomes difficult. Second, you said there's a committee. That committee also needs to be made clear to the people, so that they know who are these committee members who can actually take responsibility in the event there's an issue. Because you see, sometimes it becomes so difficult, and you know how people do behave, our people. So try to assist them as much as they can, because you see, always they fear. They get a problem and they don't have one to report, because they don't know who to report to. So just make it clear to them. With the investor, I think that one is a different issue altogether. Thank you.
Where is the office of NEMA in Turkana, in Lodwar?
Yeah. Honorable Chair, it is in Lodwar town, located specifically in the office of KFS. That's where we are located. Actually, we are sharing the offices with the KFS. Within the office of the county commissioner. Yes.
Yeah. You know, we also need offices in where the operations are happening. You know, you cannot have offices in Lodwar town, which is how many kilometers from Lokichar? 90. I mean, you need to, the director should be based where the real issues are. Unless you want them to engage with the county commissioner and the governor, and not the people.
And Honorable Chair, I think now this is the opportunity to request, because we need budget, we need resources for us to be able to go down even to sub-county level. So if you can consider that, then we'll be able to ensure we are impacting to the last mile.
Members of the National Assembly, the budget holders,
but Chair, you've given them a good suggestion that going forward they should have a satellite office on that site in Ngamia Wells, you should have a satellite office so that complaints and concerns are reported daily and you are coordinating at the national level. It will be very easy.
You don't even need additional resources. You can move the fellow in Lodwa to that particular place. Yeah, you know, the director doesn't mean you are supposed to be physically somewhere. You can go to...
But here is dealing with all the environmental issues. It's not only about the oil. Or the
but that is the major thing now. Yeah. That is the major thing for Turkana. So, members, I think we can close. Yes.
Is there a timeline within which they are supposed to report the AGM?
So we have to approve the field development plan first. You know, it's upon us first, and then now we can. They still report to us. You know, they're going nowhere. Good. Thank you very much, CS and your team. You may now leave, and control of budget take charge to do your presentation. And I believe yours is not too big.
We shall see.
Good.
So, thank you very much, Honorable Chair and members, as they leave.
Oh.